A billionaire was on his knees, begging a janitor to marry him. She looked him in the eyes and said the 5 words that would haunt him forever. "You don't truly love me." This is the story of the woman who walked away from $8 billion, and why she was right to do it. Stay with me, because what happens next will change the way you think about love forever. Welcome to Voice of Granny. While you are here, please hit the subscribe button and comment your view on the story and where you're watching from. Let me tell you about the most unforgettable scene I ever witnessed in my life. Picture this: the Grand Pearl Hotel in downtown Chicago. Crystal chandeliers hanging from ceilings so high they seem to touch the clouds. Marble floors polished until they shine like mirrors. The kind of place where a cup of coffee costs more than some people make in a day. And right there, in the middle of that glittering lobby, a man was on his knees. Not just any man. This was Daniel Pierce. You might have heard of him. He owns the biggest tech empire in the Midwest. Software, apps, artificial intelligence, you name it. Forbes puts his net worth somewhere around $8 billion. $8 billion. That's a number most of us can't even imagine. But there he was, kneeling on that expensive marble floor, tears streaming down his face, begging. Actually begging. And who was he begging? A janitor. A girl who cleaned the floors of his hotel. Her name was Lily Santos. Everything stopped. The businessman in the corner froze with his phone halfway to his ear. The couple at the reception desk turned around, mouths hanging open. Even the doorman, who had seen everything in his 30 years of service, stood there staring like he couldn't believe his eyes. Daniel's voice cracked as he spoke. "Lily, please. Please just give me a chance. I know I can make you happy. I know I can be what you need." His hands were shaking. This man who commanded boardrooms, who made decisions worth millions before breakfast, who had world leaders on speed dial, was trembling like a leaf in the wind. Lily just stood there, mop in hand, water dripping onto the floor. She looked tired. Her uniform was wrinkled from a long shift. Her hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail. She wore no makeup. There was nothing glamorous about her. But the way she looked at him. Oh, the way she looked at him. It wasn't anger. It wasn't excitement. It was something sadder. Something wiser. Like she could see right through him, right through everything he was offering, and she knew the truth he couldn't see. "Get up, Daniel," she said softly. "Please. You're embarrassing yourself." But he didn't get up. He stayed there, this powerful man reduced to something so human, so desperate, it hurt to watch. You're probably wondering how we got here. How does a tech billionaire end up proposing to a janitor in front of a crowd of strangers? What kind of love story is this? Well, let me take you back. Back to where it all began. Because this story, this beautiful, heartbreaking story, didn't start with romance. It started with something much simpler. It started with respect. 2 months before that chaotic proposal, Daniel Pierce was having what his employees called one of his days. You know the type. Everything going wrong. A product launch delayed. A competitor stealing market share. Stock prices dropping. And Daniel dealt with stress the way many powerful people do, by making everyone around him miserable. He was on the 42nd floor of the hotel, where he kept a private office. His management team stood in a semicircle around his desk, every single one of them looking like they wanted to disappear into the wallpaper. Unacceptable. Daniel's voice bounced off the glass windows. "I don't pay you people 6-figure salaries to give me excuses. I pay you for results. Results. Do you understand what that word means?" His CFO was sweating. His head of development was staring at her shoes. Nobody dared to speak. When Daniel was like this, the best strategy was to stay quiet and hope the storm would pass. And then the door opened. In walked Lily, pushing a cleaning cart. The wheels squeaked slightly. She moved with quiet efficiency, heading straight for the trash bin in the corner. "We're in the middle of something," Daniel snapped, not even looking at her. "I know," Lily said calmly. "I'll just be a second. Need to empty this before I finish my shift." The entire room held its breath. Nobody, and I mean nobody, interrupted Daniel Pierce during a meeting. People had been fired for less. But Lily didn't seem to care. Or maybe she just didn't know. She pulled the bag from the trash can, tied it efficiently, replaced it with a fresh one, and walked back toward the door. "Thank you for your patience," she said, and left. Just like that, Daniel stood there frozen. For the first time in maybe a decade, someone had treated him like he was just another person. Not a boss. Not a billionaire. Just another human being who happened to be in the room where she needed to work. His anger evaporated. He dismissed the meeting early. Everyone rushed out, grateful for the reprieve. But Daniel couldn't stop thinking about her. Over the next few days, he found himself noticing her. She worked the evening shift, cleaning offices after everyone left. She was always moving, always focused. Never on her phone. Never complaining. Just working. He started staying late, telling himself it was to finish projects, but really he was watching her. Not in a creepy way. More like he was studying a puzzle he couldn't solve. She cleaned the same way she did everything else, with quiet dignity. She didn't cut corners. When she mopped a floor, she really mopped it. When she wiped down a desk, she made sure every inch was spotless. One evening, Daniel was working late when he heard shouting in the hallway. He stepped out to find Lily facing off with her supervisor, a man named Richard who had a reputation for being cruel to the staff. "You were supposed to finish the third floor an hour ago," Richard was saying, his face red. "You're making everyone else wait." "I know, I'm sorry," Lily said. "But there was a spill in the conference room. I had to clean it properly or someone could slip. That's not your job to decide. Your job is to do what I tell you when I tell you." Her job is to keep this hotel safe and clean. Daniel's voice cut through the hallway. Both of them turned to look at him. And it sounds like that's exactly what she was doing. Richard's face went pale. "Mr. Pierce, I didn't realize you were." "Go home, Richard. We'll discuss your management style tomorrow." After Richard scurried away, Daniel turned to Lily. "Are you okay?" She looked at him with those same calm, steady eyes. "I'm fine. Thank you for stepping in, but I can handle Richard." "I'm sure you can," Daniel said. And he meant it. There was something about her, something unshakable, like she'd been through worse and survived. "Why did you help me?" she asked. Daniel thought about it. "Because you do good work. And because it was the right thing to do." Lily smiled then, just a small one, but it was genuine. "Well, thank you anyway. I should get back to work." As she walked away, Daniel felt something shift in his chest. Something he hadn't felt in years. He felt inspired. Everything changed on a Tuesday. It was raining outside, one of those spring storms that comes out of nowhere. Inside the hotel, everything seemed normal. Guests were checking in. The restaurant was busy. Business as usual. Until the pipe burst. Nobody knows exactly what caused it. Maybe the age of the building. Maybe the storm put pressure on the system. Whatever the reason, at 6:47 p.m., a water pipe on the 15th floor exploded. Water came gushing out like a broken fire hydrant. Within seconds, the entire hallway was flooding. Water poured into guest rooms, into the elevator shaft, cascading down the stairwell. Chaos erupted. Guests ran from their rooms, grabbing their belongings. The staff tried to respond, but they were overwhelmed. This wasn't a small leak. This was a disaster. Daniel was in his office when his phone started ringing. By the time he made it to the 15th floor, the water was ankle-deep and rising. And there, in the middle of it all, was Lily. She was everywhere at once, moving furniture away from the water, helping an elderly guest carry her suitcase, using every towel she could find to build barriers and redirect the flow. Her uniform was soaked through. Her hair was plastered to her face. But she didn't stop. "The maintenance team is on the way," someone shouted. "We need them now," another voice called back. But Lily didn't wait. She found the utility closet, grabbed a wrench, and waded through the water to the source. Daniel watched, stunned, as this small woman fought against the flood like she was fighting fate itself. "Lily, wait." Daniel rushed forward, water splashing around his expensive shoes. "You could get hurt. If we don't stop this, these people lose everything," she called back. Her voice wasn't panicked. It was determined. "Help me or move." So he helped. For the next 20 minutes, Daniel Pierce, tech billionaire, worked alongside a janitor to save guest rooms from total destruction. They moved furniture, salvaged belongings, calmed frightened guests, and held back the water until the maintenance team finally arrived to shut off the main valve. When it was over, they stood in the hallway, both of them soaked and exhausted. Other staff members stared at them like they couldn't believe what they'd just witnessed. "Why didn't you wait for help?" Daniel asked, breathless. Lily pushed wet hair from her face. "Because these are people's things. Their clothes, their laptops, their memories. You don't wait when people need you. You just do what needs to be done." In that moment, Daniel saw something he'd never seen before in his wealthy, insulated world. Real courage. Not the kind that comes from power or money, but the kind that comes from caring about other people more than yourself. "Let me buy you dinner," he said impulsively. "To thank you." Lily looked at him for a long moment. Mr. Pierce, I appreciate what you did tonight. But I need to go home. My little brother is waiting for me. Your brother? He's 12. I need to make sure he's eaten and done his homework. She started to walk away, leaving wet footprints on the carpet. That's when Daniel decided to do something he'd later question. He started looking into Lily's life. Not in a sinister way, he told himself. He just wanted to understand her. Wanted to help if he could. What he found kept him awake for 3 straight nights. Lily Santos was 26 years old. She worked 60-hour weeks between the hotel and a second job at a grocery store. She was raising her brother, Tommy, alone. Their mother had died from cancer 3 years ago. Their father left when Tommy was a baby and never came back. The records showed everything. Lily worked from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the grocery store, then 4 p.m. to midnight at the hotel. She slept maybe 5 hours a night. Every penny she earned went to Tommy. His school supplies, his clothes, his food, the small apartment they shared. She kept almost nothing for herself. Bank statements showed she budgeted exactly $100 per month for her own food. $100. For an entire month. But what broke Daniel's heart were the small details. Tommy's school records showed he'd been bullied for wearing old shoes. So every morning, before she left for work, Lily polished his shoes until they shined. She wanted him to feel proud, to feel cared for, even if they had nothing. Meanwhile, her own shoes were falling apart, held together with tape and glue. But she made sure her brother never felt poor, never felt abandoned. Daniel read these reports in his luxury penthouse, surrounded by more wealth than he could spend in 10 lifetimes, and he felt ashamed. Ashamed of every complaint he'd ever made. Ashamed of every moment he'd taken his privileges for granted. He wanted to do something, had to do something, so he started helping. Quietly, he increased her salary, claiming it was a standard raise. He scheduled her for better shifts. When her supervisor tried to give her the worst assignments, Daniel intervened. But he wanted to do more. He wanted to give her everything. Wanted to fix all her problems. He just didn't realize that's not what she wanted at all. After the flood incident, something shifted between Daniel and Lily. He started finding excuses to be around her. Asked her opinion on hotel improvements. Made sure she got breaks. Small gestures that he hoped showed he cared. But Lily started pulling away. It was subtle at first. She'd finish cleaning a room faster when he was nearby. She'd take the stairs instead of the elevator if she saw him waiting. Their conversations got shorter. One evening, Daniel found her cleaning his office. He'd been waiting for this chance. Lily, can we talk? She kept wiping down his desk. Of course, Mr. Pierce. Is something wrong with the cleaning? No, nothing like that. He struggled for words. I wanted to ask if you'd like to have coffee sometime. Just to talk. Lily stopped cleaning. She looked at him with those eyes that always seemed to see too much. That's very kind, Mr. Pierce. But I don't think that's a good idea. Why not? She set down her cleaning cloth and turned to face him fully. Because you and I live in different worlds. You know that. I know that. And pretending otherwise would only make things harder. What if I don't care about different worlds? But I do. Her voice was gentle but firm. You're a good person, Mr. Pierce. You've been kind to me, and I appreciate that more than you know. But kindness and reality are two different things. I don't understand. Lily sighed. You see me working hard and you admire it. That's nice. But for you, hard work is a choice. For me, it's survival. You can take a day off anytime you want. I can't. You can buy whatever you need. I count pennies for bread. Those aren't just differences. They're entire universes apart. Daniel felt something crack in his chest. What if I could help? What if I could make your life easier? And then what? Lily asked. I become someone who depends on you? Someone who needs you. That's not a relationship, Mr. Pierce. That's charity wearing a disguise. It wouldn't be like that. It would always be like that. She picked up her cleaning supplies. I should finish my rounds. Have a good evening, Mr. Pierce. After she left, Daniel sat in his office, staring at nothing. He'd built an empire through determination and refusing to accept no for an answer. But this was different. This wasn't a business deal. This was a person with her own pride, her own dignity. And she was right. He had been thinking about her like a problem he could solve with money. But understanding something and accepting it are two different things. Over the next few weeks, Daniel found himself getting desperate. He couldn't stop thinking about her. Couldn't stop wanting to be near her. He started making mistakes at work. Forgetting meetings. Missing deadlines. His employees noticed. His board of directors noticed. Daniel Pierce, the man who never slipped, was falling apart. His therapist, whom he'd started seeing in secret, asked him a simple question. Why do you think you're so drawn to her? Daniel thought about it for a long time. Because she's real. Everyone in my life wants something from me. Money, connections, opportunities. But Lily? She doesn't want anything. She just wants to be left alone to take care of her brother and live her life. She's the only person I've met in 20 years who sees me as just another person. And that's what you fell in love with, the therapist said. Not her. Your reflection in her eyes. The words hit like a punch to the gut. Was that true? Did he love Lily, or did he love how she made him feel? Did he want to be with her, or did he just want to possess the one thing money couldn't buy? These questions haunted him. But instead of pushing him toward clarity, they pushed him toward desperation. His friends, the few real ones he had, noticed the change. Over drinks one night, his college roommate asked him what was going on. I met someone, Daniel admitted. That's great. Who is she? She works at the hotel. Cleaning staff. His friend paused, drink halfway to his lips. Oh, what does that mean? Oh, nothing, it's just. Daniel, be careful. The power dynamic there is complicated. I'm aware. Are you though? Because from where I'm sitting, it sounds like you're pursuing someone who can't exactly say no to her boss without risking her job. Daniel's face flushed. I would never. I know you wouldn't intentionally. But that's the point. Your very presence puts pressure on her. Everything you do, every gesture, every offer of help, it all comes with invisible strings because of who you are. Daniel went home that night and looked at himself in the mirror. Really looked. He saw a man who'd always gotten what he wanted. Always. And now he wanted something he couldn't have, someone who had made it clear she didn't want him back. The mature thing would be to respect that. To back away. To let her live her life. But Daniel Pierce had never been good at letting go. Which is how we arrive back at that lobby. That terrible, beautiful, heartbreaking moment when everything finally came crashing down. The day of the proposal, Daniel woke up with a plan. A terrible plan, but a plan nonetheless. He was going to show Lily how much he cared. He was going to prove, in front of everyone, that he was serious. That this wasn't a game or a rich man's whim. He was going to give her a proposal she couldn't refuse. He bought a ring. 20 carats. Worth more than most people's houses. He cleared his schedule. He waited in the lobby, watching for her shift to end. When Lily came through the service entrance, pushing her cleaning cart, still in her uniform, Daniel made his move. He walked up to her in the middle of the crowded lobby, got down on one knee, and opened the ring box. Lily Santos, he said loudly, his voice echoing off the high ceilings. I love you. I know our worlds are different, but I don't care. I'll give you anything you want. A house. A car. Money for your brother's education. Anything. Just please say you'll marry me. The lobby fell silent. Every eye turned to watch. Lily stood there, mop in hand, and Daniel saw something in her expression that finally made him understand. It wasn't surprise. It wasn't joy. It was sadness. Deep, profound sadness. Get up, Daniel, she said quietly. Please. You're embarrassing yourself. But he didn't get up. He stayed there, tears in his eyes, making a spectacle of them both. So Lily did something he never expected. She knelt down too. Right there on the floor, in her cleaning uniform. She knelt so they were eye to eye. Daniel, she said softly, so only he could hear. You're a good man. I believe that. But you don't love me. Yes, I do. No, you don't. Her voice was gentle but absolutely certain. You love the way I make you feel. You love that I'm the only person in your world who isn't impressed by your money. You love the idea of rescuing me, of being my hero. But that's not love. That's loneliness wearing a disguise. Daniel felt tears spill down his cheeks. How can you say that? Because I've seen real love, Daniel. I watched my mother love my father even when he didn't deserve it. I love my brother enough to work myself to exhaustion every single day. Love isn't about grand gestures in hotel lobbies. It's about showing up when things are hard. It's about sacrifice and patience and putting someone else first even when it costs you everything. She took his hands in hers. What you're offering me isn't love. It's a transaction. You want to give me things, so I'll give you the feeling you're chasing. But I'm not for sale. My life isn't a problem for you to solve. I'm not your redemption story. Then what do you want from me? Daniel whispered, broken. I want you to let me go, Lily said. I want you to respect that I'm saying no. Not because I don't care about you, but because I care about myself more. I've worked too hard to build a life where I can look in the mirror with dignity, where my brother can see what real strength looks like. And if I said yes to you, I'd lose all of that. I could make you so happy. No, Daniel. You could make me comfortable. There's a difference. She stood up, pulling him to his feet. Go find someone from your world. Someone who speaks your language. Someone who can stand beside you as an equal, not someone you have to lift up. That's not love. That's pity dressed up as romance. She turned to walk away, but Daniel grabbed her hand one last time. Will you hate me? He asked, his voice breaking. For this? Lily looked back at him, and her eyes were wet now too. No. I'll remember you as the man who saw me when I was invisible, who helped me when he didn't have to, who reminded me that there are good people in the world, even if they can't be my people. That's enough, Daniel. Please let that be enough. She gently pulled her hand away and walked toward the service entrance. Everyone in the lobby watched her go. Watched this ordinary woman in her ordinary uniform walk away from $8 billion and a fairy tale ending. And you know what? She held her head high the entire way. Daniel stood there, ring still in his hand, finally understanding what he'd been too blind to see. Lily didn't need saving. She never had. She was already complete, already whole, already stronger than he'd ever be. What he loved wasn't her. It was the version of himself he saw reflected in her eyes. The better man he wanted to be, but didn't know how to become. 3 months later, Daniel sold his stake in the hotel chain, stepped away from the business he'd built, used a huge portion of his wealth to create a foundation providing scholarships and support for working families. Kids like Tommy, people like Lily. He never contacted Lily again, respected her wishes. But every scholarship recipient got a letter that said simply, "This gift comes from someone who reminded me what real strength looks like." Lily continued working, raising her brother, building her life with her own hands. 2 years later, Tommy graduated high school at the top of his class, won a full scholarship to college. At his graduation, with tears in her eyes, Lily watched him walk across that stage wearing shoes she'd polished that morning, just like always. And maybe in the end, that's the real love story. Not the billionaire and the janitor, but the sister and the brother. The woman who chose dignity over comfort. The man who finally learned that love isn't about what you can take, but what you can give up. Sometimes the greatest love stories are the ones where someone says no, where someone walks away, where someone chooses themselves not out of selfishness, but out of self-respect. Because that's what real love looks like. The end.